Good morning, students. Today we'll start chapter 9, that is biomolecules. Means the molecules which constitute the cell, the molecules which makes the cell functional, the molecules which are the basis of life. That we'll discuss one by one. Chemicals or molecules present in the living organisms are known as biomolecules. The sum total of different types of biomolecules, compounds and ions present in a cell is called as cellular pool. Biomolecules are compounds of carbon. Hence, the chemistry of living organism is organized around carbon. Carbon is the most versatile and the most predominant element of life. See the presence of different elements in our body. Hydrogen, that is present 0.5%, and in the earth crust it is 0.14%. Carbon 0.03% in the earth crust, and in our body it is 18.5%, oxygen 46.6, and in our body 65.0%. Nitrogen, that is very less, but in our body that is 3.3. Sulfur 0.03 in the non-living, and in living it is 0.3. Sodium 0.2, calcium 1.5, magnesium 0.1, and silicon, that is present in very less amount, but in earth crust it is 27.7%. Biomolecules are broadly divided into two parts, inorganic and organic. Inorganic molecules mainly minerals, gases, water. Organic, carbohydrates, lipids, amino acids, proteins, enzymes, nucleotides, nucleic acids, and vitamins. Biomolecules are divided into two groups on the basis of their size of molecule, micromolecules and macromolecules. Micromolecules are those biomolecules which are small sized, low molecular weight, between 18 to 800 daltons, found in the acid soluble pool. Example: minerals, gases, water, sugars, amino acids, and nucleotides. Macromolecules, which are large sized, high molecular weight, more than 10,000 daltons, found in the acid insoluble pool, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. The major complex biomolecules of cells are protein, and the building block of protein is amino acids, and the functions, basic structure and function of cell. DNA, the building block of DNA is deoxyribonucleotide, and that is hereditary information. RNA, that is a ribonucleotide, helps in protein synthesis. Polysaccharides, building block monosaccharides, helps in storage, form of energy. Lipids, fatty acids, and glycerol, storage, form of energy, and meet long-term demands. Carbohydrate, the first macromolecules, that is the compound of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Carbohydrates, that is hydrates of carbon, means the ratio of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen is 1:2:1, CH2O. Carbohydrates are the most abundant organic molecules in nature. The term carbohydrate is derived from the French term hydrates de carbone. It is a hydrate of carbon, or that is CnH2n Carbohydrates are defined as organic substances having carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, where H and O are in the ratio of 2:1 as found in water. Functions of carbohydrate. Most abundant source of energy, that is 4 calories per gram. Precursor of many organic compounds. Precursors means starting material like fats, amino acids. Present as glycoproteins and glycolipids in the cell membrane and functions such as cell growth and fertilization. Present as structural components like cellulose in plants, exoskeleton of some insects, cell wall of microorganisms, storage form of energy, glycogen, to meet the energy demand of the body, especially in the case of animals. Carbohydrates are broadly divided into 3 groups: monosaccharides, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides, basic units of carbohydrates, cannot be hydrolyzed into smaller units based on the number of carbon atoms, based on the type of functional group. Oligosaccharides, they can be further hydrolyzed. Examples: disaccharides, trisaccharides and tetrasaccharides. Polysaccharides, non-crystalline, non-soluble in water, tasteless on hydrolysis, gives more molecule of monosaccharides. Example: starch, cellulose, etc. Monosaccharides, based on the number of carbon atoms, monosaccharides are trioses. Formula is C3H6O3, where the carbon number is 3. Example: glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone. Tetrose, where the carbon number is 4. Erythrose and threose. Pentose, carbon 5. Example: ribulose, xylose, arbinose. Deoxyribose also. Hexose, C6H12O6. Example: glucose, fructose, galactose and mannose. Haptose, carbon number 7. Example: pseudohaptulose and glucohaptose. Based on the functional group, aldoses, the functional group is aldehyde, that is CHO group. Example: glyceraldehyde and glucose. Ketose, where the functional group is ketone, CO. Dihydroxyacetone and fructose. Derivatives of monosaccharides. First is deoxysugars. Deoxygenation of ribose produces deoxyribose, which is a structural component of DNA. Amino sugars, when one or more OH groups of monosaccharides are replaced by NH2 amino group, it forms an amino sugar, glucosamine, which forms chitin, fungal cellulose, hyaluronic acid. Sugar acid, oxidation of CHO or OH groups forms sugar acids. Ascorbic acid is a sugar acid. Sugar alcohols, reduction of aldose or ketose, glycerol and mannitol. Oligosaccharides, they are formed by condensation of 2 to 9 monosaccharides. Depending upon the number of monosaccharides molecules, they are disaccharides, example sucrose, lactose, trisaccharides, raffinose, tetrasaccharides, statiose. The smallest and the commonest oligosaccharides are disaccharides. Disaccharides consist of 2 monosaccharides units, similar or dissimilar, held together by a glycosidic bond. They are crystalline, water soluble and sweet to taste. Example: maltose is also called malt sugar, made up of 2 glucose molecules. Glucose plus glucose is equal to maltose. Lactose is also called milk sugar, as it is found naturally in milk, made up of glucose and galactose. Means glucose plus galactose is equal to lactose. Souring of milk is due to conversion of lactose to lactic acid. Sucrose is also called cane sugar, means present in sugar cane. It is the sugar found in sugar cane and sugar beet, most abundant among naturally occurring sugars. Important source of dietary carbohydrates made up of glucose plus fructose. See the structure of galactose, glucose, galactose plus glucose, maltose, glucose plus glucose, sucrose, glucose plus fructose. See, between that two molecules, that is glycosidic bond, which binds together and forms disaccharides, that is sucrose. Polysaccharides are also called as glycans, made up of repeating units of monosaccharides held by glycosidic bonds. During its formation, a water molecule is released at each condensation. This helps reduce the bulk, making it almost insoluble, decreasing the effect on the water potential or osmotic potential of the cell. Unlike sugars, they are not sweet. They are ideal as storage and as a structural component. They are of two types, homoglycans and heteroglycans. Homoglycans made up of only one type of monosaccharides. Monomers, for example, starch, glucose and cellulose. Glucan made up of glucose, fructan made up of fructose, galactans made up of galactose. Heteroglycans made up of condensation of two or more types of monosaccharides, for example, hyaluronic acid, agar, chitin, peptidyl glycans, etc. Storage. Polysaccharides, starch, carbohydrates reserve of plants and the most important dietary source for animals. High content of starch in cereals, roots, tubers, vegetables, etc. Homopolymer made up of glucose units, also called glucan. Starch is equal to amylose and amylopectin, that is polysaccharides components. Starch is the reserve food present in the plants. Source of starch, as you know, that is wheat, rice, potato, maize, etc. Glycogen, carbohydrate reserve in animals, hence referred to as animal starch. High concentration of in liver, muscles and brain. In our body also, glycogen is present as a reserve food in liver, muscles and brain. Structural polysaccharides means which makes the structural unit in the body. For example, cellulose occurs exclusively in plants and is the most abundant organic substance in plant kingdom. Predominant constitute the plant cell wall. It is totally absent in animals. Cellulose is the main constituent of cell wall, and that is the feature of plant cell. Chitin, second most abundant organic substance, complex carbohydrates of heteropolysaccharides type, found in exoskeleton of some invertebrates like insects and crustaceans, provide both strength and elasticity. Becomes hard when impregnated with calcium carbonate. Means the outer covering of the insects, that is made of chitin. That's why it is hard with flexibility. That's all.